The wine glass felt heavy in my hand as Julia's laughter echoed through our living room. 8 of our closest friends sat around our mahogany dining table, the remnants of what had been a perfect dinner party scattered across expensive china plates. The candlelight flickered against the walls, casting dancing shadows that seemed to mock me. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. "Oh, come on, Mark," Julia said, her voice carrying that particular tone she used when she thought she was being clever. "Don't look so serious. It's just a joke." But it wasn't just a joke. Not the way she'd said it. Not with that look in her eyes. "My name is Mark Delaney, and I'm 39 years old. I run a successful tech consulting firm here in Westfield, a suburb outside Chicago where the houses cost more than most people make in 5 years. I've got the kind of life that looks perfect from the outside. Successful business, beautiful wife, circle of affluent friends who gather every few weeks to drink wine that costs more per bottle than minimum wage workers make in a day." Tonight was supposed to be one of those perfect evenings. Julia had spent all afternoon preparing, her blonde hair pulled back in that effortless style that actually took her 2 hours to achieve. She'd worn the black dress I bought her for our anniversary, the one that hugged her curves just right and made every other husband in the room steal glances when their wives weren't looking. Everything had been going smoothly until Monica Chen brought up relationships. "You two are so lucky," Monica had said, gesturing between Julia and me with her wine glass. 15 years together and you still seem so happy." That's when Julia had laughed. That particular laugh she reserved for moments when she thought she was being witty at someone else's expense. "Happy with him? Please." She gestured toward me like I was a piece of furniture she was considering replacing. "I'd rather run back to my ex Tyler than stay in this boring marriage much longer." The table had gone quiet. Not the comfortable quiet of people enjoying good food and wine, but the awkward silence that follows when someone says something they probably shouldn't have. Carl Morrison, my best friend since college, had cleared his throat and tried to change the subject. Tara Williams had suddenly become very interested in her dessert plate. Even Monica, who usually had something to say about everything, had just stared at her hands. But Julia had kept going, apparently oblivious to the discomfort she'd created. "I mean, Tyler had this energy, you know? This passion. He owned that gym downtown, worked out every day, drove that gorgeous Jeep Wrangler. Remember that Jeep, Monica? You always said it was so sexy." Monica had nodded reluctantly, clearly wishing she'd never brought up the subject of relationships. "Mark here," Julia had continued, waving her hand in my direction again. "Mark drives a sensible Honda Accord and spends his evenings reading technical manuals. When's the last time you did something spontaneous, honey?" I'd smiled. I'd actually smiled and taken a sip of wine, letting the moment hang in the air like smoke from a cigarette. Because here's the thing about being underestimated your whole life. You learn to watch, to listen, to notice things other people miss. Like the fact that Julia had been coming home late from work events for the past 3 months. Like the new perfume she'd started wearing, something musky and expensive that definitely wasn't the Chanel I'd bought her for Christmas. Like the way she'd started putting her phone face down on the nightstand and taking it with her to the bathroom. "If you're already cheating on me with him," I'd said, my voice calm and conversational, "maybe we should just file for divorce." Her laugh had died instantly. The color had drained from her face so fast, I thought she might faint right there at our dining table, surrounded by our friends and the ruins of what had been a lovely evening. "Mark," she'd said, her voice suddenly small, "that's not... I didn't mean..." But I'd already stood up, setting my wine glass down with deliberate care. "Ladies and gentlemen," I'd announced to our guests, "I think we're going to call it an early evening." Now, 2 hours later, our friends were gone, and Julia was sitting on our leather couch, still in that black dress, mascara streaked down her cheeks. Please tell me you didn't mean it, she said for the 5th time. Please tell me you were just trying to embarrass me because I embarrassed you. I was standing by our floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the perfectly manicured lawns of our neighborhood. Each house was a monument to success, a testament to the American dream achieved through hard work and smart investments. Our neighbors were doctors, lawyers, business owners like myself. People who understood that image mattered, that reputation was everything. Were you trying to embarrass me, Julia? It was just a joke, Mark. You know how I get when I drink wine. I say stupid things. Stupid things, I repeated, like wishing you were back with your ex-boyfriend, in front of our friends, at our dinner table. She was crying harder now, and part of me, the part that had loved her for 15 years, that had proposed to her on a beach in Maui, that had held her hand through her father's funeral, wanted to comfort her. But another part of me, a part that had been growing stronger over the past few months, was calculating, analyzing, planning. Are you? I asked. Am I what? Cheating on me with Tyler. The pause lasted exactly 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, I watched my wife's face cycle through surprise, fear, calculation, and finally resignation. Mark, I can explain. That's a yes. It's not what you think. It's not serious. It's just... God, Mark, we've been together for 15 years. Don't you ever feel like you're suffocating? Don't you ever want something different? I turned away from the window and looked at her. Really looked at her. Julia was 36 years old and still beautiful. She worked as a public relations executive for a marketing firm downtown, a job that required her to be charming and persuasive. She was good at it. She was good at making people believe whatever version of reality she wanted them to see. How long? I asked. Mark. How long, Julia? 3 months, maybe 4. I don't know exactly when it started. We ran into each other at that coffee place near my office, and we started talking, and one thing led to another. 4 months. 4 months of lies, of late nights explained away as work obligations, of perfume and new lingerie and sudden interest in going to the gym. I want you to leave, I said. What? Tonight. Pack a bag and leave. Go stay with Monica, or your mother, or Tyler for all I care. But I want you out of this house. Mark, please. Can't we talk about this? Can't we try to work it out? Work it out? I laughed, and it sounded harsh even to my own ears. You just told our friends you'd rather be with another man, a man you've apparently been screwing behind my back for 4 months. What exactly is there to work out? She stood up then, smoothing down her dress, trying to regain some composure. Fine, I'll pack a bag. But Mark, this doesn't have to be the end. People work through these things. We can go to counseling. We can... Julia. What? Pack your bag. I watched her walk upstairs, her heels clicking against the hardwood floors. 15 years of marriage, and it was ending with the sound of her footsteps on the stairs we'd climbed together thousands of times. My phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. You deserve better. Check Tyler's gym tomorrow night after closing. A friend. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it. But I didn't forget it. Upstairs, I could hear Julia moving around our bedroom, opening drawers, probably trying to decide what to pack for a life I was pretty sure she'd already been planning. I poured myself another glass of wine and sat down in my chair. The one Julia always complained made the living room look like an old man's study. Tomorrow I would start making phone calls. I would contact a divorce attorney, start the process of untangling 15 years of shared life. But tonight, I was going to sit in my chair and think about that text message, and about Tyler Grant, who owned a gym downtown and drove a gorgeous Jeep Wrangler and apparently had enough energy and passion to steal another man's wife. Tomorrow, things were going to get interesting. The next morning, Julia was gone. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter, written on the expensive stationery she used for thank you cards and dinner party invitations. Mark, I'm staying at Monica's for a few days. Please don't do anything rash. We can fix this. Love, Julia. Love, Julia. As if love was something you could sign your name to, like a business letter or a grocery list. I made coffee in the kitchen that suddenly felt too large, too quiet. The silence was different from the comfortable quiet of early mornings when Julia was still asleep upstairs. This was the silence of absence, of spaces that had been filled and were now empty. My phone rang. Carl Morrison's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, buddy." Carl's voice was careful, the way people talk when they're not sure how much damage has been done. "How are you holding up?" Carl had been my roommate in college, my best man at my wedding, the godfather to the children Julia and I had always planned to have but somehow never got around to. He was a retired police detective who now ran a small security consulting business, helping wealthy suburbanites feel safer in their gated communities. "I'm fine," I said. Better than fine, actually. "Mark, listen. About last night. Julia was drunk, and you know how she gets when she's had too much wine. Maybe you shouldn't make any big decisions right now." "She's been cheating on me, Carl." Silence on the other end of the line. "She told you that?" She confirmed it. 4 months with her ex-boyfriend, the gym owner with the sexy Jeep. "Jesus, Mark. I'm sorry, I had no idea." "Nobody did. She's good at hiding things." "What are you going to do?" I looked out the kitchen window at my neighbor's house. Dr. Elizabeth Warren was in her garden, tending to the roses that had won the Neighborhood Association's Landscaping Award 3 years running. Liz was a psychiatrist who specialized in marriage counseling. The irony wasn't lost on me. "I'm going to handle it," I said. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm going to handle it, Carl. I'll call you later." I hung up before he could respond. Carl meant well, but he still thought of me as the same guy who'd let other people copy his homework in college, who'd never fought back when bullies picked on him, who'd spent his whole life being the nice guy who finished last. That guy was gone. I spent the morning researching divorce attorneys online, reading reviews and fee structures. I made a list of our joint assets: the house, the cars, the investment accounts, the business. Julia worked for someone else, but I owned my consulting firm outright. That would complicate things, but not in her favor. Around noon, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Tara Williams standing on my front porch, holding what looked like a casserole dish. Tara was part of our social circle, married to a cardiologist named David. She was quiet at dinner parties, often overshadowed by more outgoing personalities like Monica and Julia. But she noticed things. She remembered details. And she'd looked genuinely uncomfortable last night when Julia had made her little speech. "Hi, Mark," she said when I opened the door. "I brought you some lasagna. I thought you might not feel like cooking." "That's very thoughtful. Come in." She followed me into the kitchen, setting the casserole dish on the counter. She was nervous, fidgeting with her car keys. "Mark, I need to tell you something about last night." "Okay." "What Julia said, about Tyler and the Jeep and all that. Monica and we've been worried about her for a while now." I poured 2 cups of coffee and handed her one. "Worried how?" "She's been different lately, more secretive, and she's been asking strange questions." "What kind of questions?" Tara sat down at my kitchen table, the same table where Julia had eaten breakfast every morning for 15 years. A few weeks ago, we were having lunch, and she asked me how David and I kept our marriage interesting after so many years. But it wasn't like she was looking for advice. It was more like she was looking for justification. Justification for what? For doing something she knew was wrong. And then last week, Monica mentioned seeing Julia at that coffee place on 5th Street, the one near her office. She was with a man Monica didn't recognize, a tall guy with dark hair, very muscular. Tyler Grant. It had to be. Did Monica say anything to Julia about it? No, but she mentioned it to me. We both thought it was probably just a work thing, but now... Tara trailed off, looking uncomfortable. Now you think it was Tyler? She nodded. Mark, there's something else. Something I probably should have told you months ago. I waited. Julia asked me not to mention this to you, but back in January she asked if she could use me as an alibi. She said she wanted to surprise you for your birthday, that she was planning something special and needed an excuse to be out of the house for a few hours. My birthday was in February. Julia had surprised me with a weekend trip to a bed and breakfast in Wisconsin. We'd had a wonderful time, or at least I'd thought we had. What kind of alibi? She wanted me to say we were shopping together if you asked where she was. She said she'd be gone for about 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Did you do it? Tara looked miserable. Yes. I'm sorry, Mark. I thought she was really planning a surprise for you. It never occurred to me that she might be cheating on me. I feel terrible about this. If I'd known what she was really doing, I never would have covered for her. I reached across the table and touched her hand. It's not your fault, Tara. Julia is very good at manipulating people. What are you going to do? I'm going to divorce her, but first I'm going to make sure I have all the facts. Tara finished her coffee and stood to leave. At the door, she turned back to me. Mark, be careful. I know you're angry, and you have every right to be. But don't do anything that could hurt you in the divorce proceedings. After she left, I sat in my kitchen and thought about alibis and surprises and Saturday afternoons. I thought about the text message from last night, the anonymous tip about Tyler's gym. Then I called Carl back. I need a favor, I said when he answered. What kind of favor? The kind you used to do when you were a cop. I need information about someone. Mark, I don't think... Tyler Grant. He owns a gym called Iron Paradise on 5th Street. I need to know everything about him. Carl sighed. This is a bad idea, buddy. Maybe, but I'm going to do it anyway. Are you going to help me or not? Give me until tonight. I'll see what I can find. That evening, Carl came over with a manila folder and a 6-pack of beer. We sat in my living room, the same room where Julia had humiliated me less than 24 hours earlier. Tyler Grant, age 40, Carl began, reading from a printout. Divorced 3 years ago. Ex-wife got half his assets in the settlement, including his house. He's been living in an apartment above the gym ever since. Kids? No kids. His ex-wife cited irreconcilable differences in the divorce filing, but my contact at the courthouse says there were rumors about infidelity. He cheated on his wife? That's the word. Multiple times, apparently. The guy has a pattern. Carl handed me a photograph, obviously taken from social media. Tyler Grant was exactly what I'd expected. Tall, dark-haired, muscular in the way that comes from spending hours in a gym every day. He was standing next to a red Jeep Wrangler, flexing for the camera. There's more, Carl said. His gym is in financial trouble. He's 3 months behind on his lease, and his equipment supplier is threatening to repossess half his machines. So he's broke. Getting there. And Mark, there's something else you should know. I had a friend run Julia's credit report. I looked up from the photograph. And? She's been using your joint credit card for cash advances. Small amounts, nothing that would show up obviously on your monthly statements. But over the past 4 months, she's taken out almost $8,000. $8,000. Money I'd earned, money from our joint account, being used to finance my wife's affair. She's been giving him money. Looks that way. I studied Tyler's photograph again. This was the man my wife preferred to me. This was the man she'd been sneaking around with, lying about, stealing money to support. Carl, I need another favor. Mark, I need you to watch the gym tomorrow night, after closing time. I want to know who comes and goes. This is getting into stalking territory, buddy. If you want evidence for the divorce, hire a private investigator. Do this the right way. I am doing this the right way. My way. Carl finished his beer and stood up. I can't be part of this, Mark. I'm sorry about what Julia did to you. but I'm not going to help you do something that could land you in jail. After he left, I sat alone in my living room, looking at Tyler Grant's photograph. Somewhere across town, my wife was probably with this man, in his apartment above his failing gym, spending my money and telling him how boring her husband was. I thought about the anonymous text message again. Someone wanted me to know the truth about what was happening at that gym after hours. Someone who called themselves a friend. Tomorrow night, I was going to find out who that friend was, and I was going to see exactly what my wife and her lover were up to. The nice guy who finished last was gone. It was time for the real Mark Delaney to make an appearance. The next evening, I parked my sensible Honda Accord 3 blocks away from Iron Paradise and walked through the light rain that had been falling since sunset. The gym was located in a converted warehouse in an area of downtown that was trying to rebrand itself as trendy but still felt more industrial than hip. Through the large front windows, I could see the gym was closed, its interior dark except for a few security lights. But there was a red Jeep Wrangler parked in the small lot behind the building. I checked my phone. 9:47 p.m. The gym had closed at 9, according to the hours posted on the front door. I made my way around to the back of the building, staying in the shadows. The rear entrance had a small window, and through it I could see a light coming from what looked like an office area. My phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. Loading dock. Door is unlocked. Stairs to the left lead to the office. I stared at the message. Someone was definitely watching. Someone who wanted me to see whatever was happening inside. But who? I found the loading dock door exactly where the text had indicated. It was indeed unlocked. I slipped inside, my heart pounding in a way it hadn't since I was a teenager sneaking out of my parents' house. The gym was eerily quiet, filled with the shapes of exercise equipment that looked like sleeping monsters in the dim light. I found the stairs and climbed them slowly, each step seeming impossibly loud in the silence. At the top of the stairs was a small hallway with 2 doors. Light and voices were coming from behind the door on the right. I recognized Julia's laugh immediately. God, Tyler, you should have seen his face when I said I'd rather be back with you. He looked like someone had slapped him. You're terrible. Tyler's voice was deep, amused. The poor bastard probably had no idea what was coming. That's what makes it so perfect. Mark thinks he's so smart, with his little business and his technical manuals. He has no idea how boring he is. I took out my phone and started recording, holding it close to the door. How much longer do you think we can keep this up? Tyler asked. Not much longer. I'm getting tired of sneaking around, and honestly, I'm getting tired of pretending to be the perfect suburban wife. So what's the plan? I'm thinking I'll let him file for divorce. Play the victim, say he was emotionally abusive or something. In Illinois, I can probably get half of everything, including his business. How much are we talking about? The house is worth about $800,000. His business, maybe another $1.5 million. Plus investments, retirement accounts, all of it. Even after lawyers' fees, we're looking at close to $1 million. Enough to pay off my debts and start over somewhere else? Enough to buy a new gym in Florida like we talked about. Somewhere warm, where we can be together without having to hide. I heard movement, the sound of a chair scraping against the floor. Speaking of money, Tyler said, I'm going to need another loan. The equipment company is threatening to show up Monday morning with a truck. How much? $5,000 should cover it. Tyler, I've already given you $8,000. Mark is going to notice if I keep taking cash advances. Baby, once we're in Florida, money won't be a problem. I'll pay you back everything with interest. Julia laughed again, but this time it sounded forced. You better. I'm taking a huge risk here. Come here, Tyler said, his voice lower now. Let me show you how grateful I am. I heard Julia giggle, then the sound of movement, clothing rustling. This was my cue to leave, to get out, before I heard something I couldn't unhear. Instead, I opened the door. They were on a small couch in what was obviously Tyler's office. Julia was straddling him, her blouse unbuttoned, her hair messed up. Tyler's hands were on her waist, his gym shirt pulled up to reveal the kind of abs that come from a lifetime of physical fitness. They both froze when they saw me. "Hello, honey," I said, holding up my phone. "Don't mind me, I'm just getting some footage for the divorce proceedings." Julia scrambled off Tyler's lap, frantically buttoning her blouse. "Mark, what are you doing here? You can't just—" "Break into someone's business?" I finished. "You're right. That would be illegal. Good thing the door was unlocked." Tyler stood up, pulling down his shirt. He was everything Julia had described. Tall, muscular, handsome in a way that probably made women forget he was a cheating, financially irresponsible deadbeat. "You need to leave," he said, trying to sound intimidating. "This is private property." "Is it? Because according to the county records I pulled this afternoon, you're 3 months behind on your lease. Technically, this is your landlord's private property." Tyler's face darkened. "How did you know about your financial problems? It's amazing what you can find out about someone when you know where to look." Julia had finished buttoning her blouse and was trying to smooth down her hair. "Mark, we need to talk. This isn't what it looks like." "Really? Because it looks like my wife is fucking her ex-boyfriend in his office while planning to steal half my assets in a divorce settlement. Did I miss something?" "You were recording us?" Tyler stepped forward, his hands clenched into fists. "That's illegal." "Actually, it's not. Illinois is a one-party consent state for recording conversations. As long as one person involved knows about the recording, it's perfectly legal. And since I was listening to you talk about defrauding me in a divorce, I'd say I have a pretty compelling interest in documenting the conversation." I was amazed at how calm I sounded. Inside, I was furious, hurt, and oddly exhilarated all at the same time. But my voice was steady, almost conversational. "Tyler, right? I've heard so much about you. The successful gym owner with the sexy Jeep. Except the gym is failing and you're borrowing money from my wife to keep the lights on." "Fuck you," Tyler said, taking another step forward. Now, no need for profanity. We're all adults here. Well, 2 of us are anyway." Julia moved between us, her face pale. "Mark, please, can we go home and talk about this privately?" "Home? You mean the home you've been using as a base of operations while you plan to rob me blind? That home?" "I wasn't going to rob you. We were just talking. About buying a gym in Florida with the money you're going to steal from me in the divorce." "Yes, I heard." Tyler pushed past Julia. "Okay, enough. You got your little show, now get out." "Or what? You'll beat me up? That would look great on the police report. Local gym owner assaults husband of woman he's been screwing." "Mark," Julia said, her voice pleading now, "please don't do this. Don't ruin everything over a mistake." "A mistake? You've been planning this for months. The alibis, the cash advances, the whole elaborate scheme. That's not a mistake, Julia. That's a conspiracy." I looked around Tyler's office, taking in the details. The unmade couch, the empty beer bottles, the framed photo of Tyler with his Jeep that sat on his desk like a shrine to his own ego. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said. "I actually might have been willing to work things out. People make mistakes, marriages go through rough patches. But you didn't just cheat on me, Julia. You humiliated me in front of our friends, and then you planned to steal from me. That's not a mistake. That's just who you are." Tyler had heard enough. He lunged forward, reaching for my phone. I stepped aside and he stumbled past me, crashing into his own desk. The framed photo of his Jeep fell to the floor, the glass shattering. "Oops," I said. "I hope that wasn't expensive." Tyler spun around, his face red with anger and embarrassment. "You son of a bitch." "Tyler, don't," Julia said, but he was already moving toward me again. This time I was ready. As he reached for me, I grabbed the collar of his gym shirt and used his own momentum to spin him around and shove him toward the office door. He stumbled out into the hallway, off balance and confused. "You know," I called after him, "for a guy who owns a gym, you're not very coordinated." I followed him into the hallway, Julia close behind me. "Mark, stop this," she said. "You're acting crazy." "Crazy? I'm acting rational for the first time in months. I'm seeing things clearly." Tyler had recovered his balance and was standing at the top of the stairs, blocking my exit. "You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you're better than me." "I don't think I'm better than you, Tyler. I know I am. I'm not the one borrowing money from another man's wife to keep my business afloat. At least I satisfy her. When's the last time you made her come, you pathetic?" I held up my phone again. "Please, keep talking. This is great material for the divorce hearing." Tyler's face went pale as he realized what he'd just said on camera. "Delete that," he said. "No, I don't think I will." "Delete it, or I'll—" "You'll what? Beat me up? Go ahead. Assault me on camera. I'm sure that will work out great for you." Julia stepped between us again. "Both of you, stop it. This is insane." "You're right," I said. "It is insane. It's insane that I've been working 60-hour weeks to support a lifestyle for a woman who's been stealing from me to support her boyfriend. It's insane that I've been worried about our marriage while you've been planning to destroy me financially." I looked at both of them, standing there in Tyler's hallway like teenagers caught by their parents. "But you know what's really insane? I actually feel sorry for you." "Sorry for us?" Julia's voice was incredulous. "Sorry for you, Julia, because you're about to find out what it's like to be broke. And sorry for him, because he's about to find out what it's like to date a woman who has no money." I started down the stairs, then turned back. "Oh, and Tyler? You might want to find a new place to live. Because when your landlord finds out you've been using this place for your little love nest, I don't think he's going to be very understanding about those late rent payments." I walked through the dark gym and out the loading dock door, leaving them standing at the top of the stairs. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the air felt clean and cool. My phone buzzed as I walked back to my car. Another text from the unknown number. "Well done. But this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, check your email. You're going to want to see what I found." I looked around the empty street, wondering who was watching, who had been helping me, but there was no one in sight. As I drove home, I thought about Julia's face when she'd seen me in that office. The shock, the fear, the desperate attempt to explain away what couldn't be explained. 15 years of marriage, and I'd never seen her look so small. Tomorrow, I would start the divorce proceedings. Tonight, I was going to sleep better than I had in months. The war was just beginning, but I'd won the first battle. And for the first time since this whole thing started, I felt like myself again. The real Mark Delaney. The one who didn't finish last. I woke up the next morning to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Most were from Julia, but there were also messages from Monica, Carl, and several other friends who had apparently heard about the previous night's events. Julia's messages started apologetic and escalated to angry. "Mark, please call me. We need to talk. I'm sorry you had to see that. It's not what you think. You can't just ignore me. I'm your wife. This is ridiculous. You're being childish. Fine, don't call me back, but you're making a huge mistake." Monica's messages were more direct. "Mark, Julia is here crying. What did you do? She says you followed her and attacked Tyler. Is that true? Call me. We need to sort this out." I deleted all the messages without responding and made coffee. My mysterious informant had promised to send me something via email, and I was curious to see what other surprises were waiting. The email was in my inbox, sent from a generic Gmail account with no identifying information. The subject line read, "You'll want to see this." The message contained a single line of text. "Julia isn't the only one Tyler's been seeing." Attached were a dozen photographs, obviously taken with a telephoto lens from a distance. They showed Tyler with various women, none of whom were Julia. The photos were time-stamped over the past 6 months, and in several of them, Tyler was clearly being intimate with his companions. There was Tyler kissing a redhead outside a restaurant, Tyler with his arm around a brunette at what looked like a hotel bar. Tyler in his Jeep with a blonde who definitely wasn't Julia. The last photo made my blood run cold. It showed Tyler with Monica Chen, Julia's best friend, in what was obviously a compromising position in the front seat of his Jeep. My phone rang, Carl's name on the screen. "Mark, what the hell happened last night?" "I found them together, just like the tip said I would." "Jesus, are you okay?" "I'm fine, better than fine, actually. I've got everything I need for the divorce." "Monica called me this morning. She says Julia is devastated, that you humiliated her." I looked at the photo of Monica and Tyler on my computer screen. "Did she mention that she's been sleeping with Tyler too?" Silence on the other end of the line. "What?" "Monica, Julia's best friend, the one who's comforting her right now. She's been screwing Tyler behind Julia's back." "How do you know that?" "I have photographic evidence. Someone's been watching Tyler for a while, documenting his activities." "Who?" "I don't know. But whoever it is, they're on my side." Carl sighed. "Mark, this is getting complicated. You need to be careful." "I'm being very careful. I'm documenting everything, staying within the law, and building a case that's going to destroy Julia in divorce court." "That's not what I mean. I mean you need to be careful about revenge. It has a way of consuming people." After Carl hung up, I spent the morning forwarding the photos to my lawyer and organizing the evidence I'd collected. The recording from Tyler's office, the financial records showing Julia's cash advances, the photographs of Tyler with multiple women. Around noon, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I could see Julia standing on my porch, still wearing the same clothes from the night before. I opened the door, but didn't invite her in. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't. You need to talk to a lawyer." "Mark, please. I know you're angry, but we can work this out." "Work what out exactly? The cheating, the lying, the plan to steal half my assets?" She looked terrible. Her hair was disheveled, her makeup smeared, her eyes red from crying. Part of me still wanted to comfort her, to fix whatever was broken between us. But then I thought about her laugh at our dinner party, the casual way she'd dismissed our marriage in front of our friends. "I made a mistake," she said. "A huge mistake. But people make mistakes, Mark. That doesn't mean we have to throw away 15 years. "You didn't make a mistake, Julia. You made a series of calculated decisions over a period of months. You chose to cheat. You chose to lie. You chose to steal money from our joint account. Those weren't mistakes. Those were choices. The money was for us. I was going to pay it back. The money was for Tyler's gym. I heard you talking about it." Her face crumpled. "You recorded us." "I recorded you planning to defraud me in a divorce settlement. Yes." "That was just talk. I wasn't really going to—" "Julia, stop. Just stop lying. We're past that now." I pulled out my phone and showed her one of the photos my anonymous friend had sent, the one of Tyler kissing the redhead outside the restaurant. "When was this taken?" I asked. She stared at the photo, her face going pale. "I don't know. Where did you get this?" "Tyler's been cheating on you too, Julia, with multiple women, including your best friend Monica." I showed her the photo of Tyler and Monica in the Jeep. Julia's legs gave out, and she sat down hard on my porch steps. "That's not— Monica wouldn't—" "Monica would, and did. Apparently Tyler has a type. Married women with something to lose." Julia was crying again, but these weren't the manipulative tears she'd used the night before. These were the tears of someone whose entire world had just collapsed. "How long have you known?" she asked. "About Monica? Since this morning? About you? I've suspected for months." "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because I kept hoping I was wrong. Because I loved you, and I wanted to believe you when you said you were working late or going shopping with friends." She looked up at me, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Do you still love me?" It was a fair question. and it deserved an honest answer. I love the woman I married 15 years ago, but that woman is gone, isn't she? She's been replaced by someone who lies to my face and steals my money and humiliates me in front of our friends. I can change. I can be that woman again. No, you can't. Because that woman never existed. You've always been this person, Julia. I just chose not to see it. I stepped back into my house. I've filed for divorce. You'll be served with papers tomorrow. Don't come back here. Mark, wait. I closed the door. Through the window, I watched her sit on my porch steps for another 10 minutes, crying and occasionally looking at her phone. Finally, she got up and walked to her car, a silver BMW that I'd bought her for her birthday 2 years ago. My phone buzzed. Another message from my anonymous friend. Phase 2 begins tonight. Tyler's about to have a very bad evening. Enjoy the show. I stared at the message, wondering what was coming next. Part of me was curious, but another part was starting to worry about how far this was going to go. But then I thought about Julia's laugh at our dinner party, about the casual cruelty in her voice when she'd talked about being bored with our marriage. I thought about the $8,000 she'd stolen, the months of lies, the plan to take half of everything I'd worked for. Whatever was coming, Tyler had earned it. That evening, I poured myself a glass of wine and waited to see what my mysterious ally had planned. Outside, the sun was setting over our perfect suburban neighborhood, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Tomorrow, Julia would be served with divorce papers. Tomorrow, our friends would start choosing sides. Tomorrow, the real battle would begin. But tonight, I was going to sit in my chair and wait for the show to start. The nice guy who finished last was gone forever. In his place was someone harder, smarter, and infinitely more dangerous. Someone who played to win. At 11:30 p.m., my phone buzzed with a news alert from the local ABC affiliate. Downtown gym owner arrested in financial fraud investigation. I clicked on the link and read the article with growing amazement. Tyler Grant had been arrested at his gym on charges of credit card fraud, identity theft, and embezzlement. According to the report, an anonymous tip had led investigators to discover that Tyler had been using his gym's credit card processing system to steal money from his customers' accounts. The scheme was elaborate. Tyler would run customers' credit cards for small amounts above their actual charges, then pocket the difference. Over the past year, he'd stolen nearly $50,000 from people who trusted him with their financial information. But that wasn't all. The investigation had also uncovered evidence that Tyler had been blackmailing several of his female clients, threatening to release compromising photos unless they paid him money or provided other services. My phone rang. Carl's name on the screen. "Are you watching the news?" he asked. "Just read about it online. $50,000 in credit card fraud." "There's more. I still have contacts in the department. Tyler's been running this scam for over a year, but someone provided the police with detailed records of every fraudulent transaction. Bank statements, credit card records, even security footage from the gym showing him processing fake charges. Someone's been watching him very closely. More than watching. Someone's been building a case against him for months. This wasn't a random investigation, Mark. This was a planned takedown. I thought about my anonymous friend, the person who'd been sending me tips and evidence. Any idea who? Not yet. But whoever it is, they know how to build a criminal case. This isn't amateur hour. The sun was barely up when I heard the first car door slam. By the time I pulled the curtains, 3 of them were already on my porch like crows on a power line. Julia in the middle, Monica to her left trying to look brave, Tara hanging back like she'd rather be anywhere else. I took my time, shaved, made coffee strong enough to strip paint. Let them wait. When I finally opened the door, Julia spoke first, voice raw from crying or screaming, maybe both. "We need to talk about Tyler." "Tyler's in county lockup for embezzlement," I said. "Pretty sure that conversation belongs to him and his lawyer now." Monica stepped forward. Someone framed him, Mark. You know it. I smiled the way you smile at a child who still believes in Santa. Framed him with his own fake invoices and forged signatures? That's a hell of a magician. Julia's eyes were puffy, mascara smudged into war paint. Stop pretending you're innocent in this. I'm not pretending anything. I sipped my coffee. I'm just the guy who finally looked at the books. Monica again, sharper now. The timing is perfect, I finished, almost like someone waited until I had all the evidence before dropping the hammer. I let that sit between us like a live wire. Julia's chin trembled. He doesn't deserve this. No, I said. He deserves worse. Then I took my phone out, slow, deliberate, and opened the photo I'd been saving for this exact moment. Monica and Tyler in his Jeep, her hand high on his thigh, his mouth on her neck. Timestamp, 3 weeks ago. I turned the screen so all three of them could see. Monica made a sound like someone punched her in the throat. Julia stared at the picture, then at her best friend. You? Monica opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Julia slapped her so hard the crack echoed off the siding. Monica's head snapped sideways. She caught the porch rail to keep from falling. You hypocritical bitch, Julia hissed. All those nights you sat on my couch telling me I was terrible for wanting more. You were in his car letting him... It wasn't planned, Monica stammered, cheek already swelling. He said you were suffocating him. Julia swung again. This time Monica blocked it, and for a second I thought we were about to get a full-on hair-pulling match on my welcome mat. I cleared my throat. Ladies, the neighbors stream ring footage to a Facebook group. Let's not give them the premium content. Old Mrs. Warren across the street was, in fact, watering the same petunia for the 4th minute straight. Julia rounded on me, tears flying off her cheeks. You're loving this. I'm drinking coffee and watching gravity work, I said. Same thing, I guess. Tara finally spoke, soft, almost pleading. Mark, whoever's helping you, they're not done. You know that, right? I met her eyes. She was the only one who hadn't lied to my face yet. Good, neither am I. Julia was shaking. This isn't over. It never started, Jules. You just thought it did. She stormed off the porch, got in her BMW, and peeled out often enough to leave rubber on my driveway. Monica followed, holding her face, not looking back. Tara lingered 1 second longer. You didn't deserve any of this, she said quietly. Neither did the clients he stole from, I answered. She nodded once and left. I shut the door, leaned against it, and let the silence settle. My phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number, 1 line, round 2 tomorrow. Enjoy the quiet while it lasts. I stared at the screen a long time. Then I poured another cup of coffee and smiled at absolutely nobody. The war wasn't close to over, but damn, I was starting to enjoy the sound of things breaking.